Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Maxace Vortex S, which is a substantially less expensive version of the premium Vortex in M390 in titanium. This guy in a sort of an old banana micarta. And then we have, I believe, an SLD Magic blade. If it doesn't say actually on the, yeah, there it is, SLD Magic. This will be linked down in the description. It is available. You can pick it up. It's not a budget knife, but it is way less expensive than the original. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to Maxace for supplying this huge thing for review. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex and on TikTok at _metal_complex. So this is a substantial pocket knife. You can put it in your pocket. It does have a humorously small clip. Maxace is a pretty funny company. They're plenty capable of making super practical knives, but they're known for making borderline joke knives that are still very, very durable and very capable. As you can see here, there's a hole for a secondary stop pin. And what that does is it allows an additional point of contact, a very strong point of contact. If you screw on this cap, it's interesting. The threads are not a part of the knife on this when you screw this cap on. It adds an additional point of contact, essentially making it impossible to disengage if, you know, the liner lock for some reason disengages. Because the liner lock by itself is not going to be, you know, the most reliable thing if you're really going to go out and use this. And I think, you know, a valid question is, do these knives with these extra stop pins actually work? Are they actually capable? Yeah, that's a valid question. So the answer to this question is no. It won't actually hold up without breaking. And you guys saw there that the actual liner lock itself was the thing that failed, while the stop pin and the pivot, surprisingly, there's no movement left or right. All of this held up just fine, the spine of the blade. So that's a stupid test for a knife. And you know, if you have other content creators that you like and they do stuff like that with folding knives, like, I think that's perfectly fine. I mean, there are definitely some folding knives out there, including like triad lock knives, I think, that can stand up to that type of abuse. But in most cases, if I personally ever really needed to do that, which I don't, I would use a fixed blade. But for a folding knife, I think generally speaking, it's just like not a good test. I don't think I've ever seen any information on Maxace's website or any retail website that says, you know, a knife like this with a secondary pin can absolutely stand up to abuse. So this test proves nothing, but I know that a lot of people have wondered, and personally I have too. The interesting thing here is that what failed, again, was the liner. You know, that thing stayed underneath that. It actually stayed there. I figured, you know, with each whack, that it would like keep slipping over, but that thing was engaged. It was so engaged that it snapped right behind the relief cut. So they got their geometry right. The other crazy thing, well, it's not that crazy. It handled chopping tasks just fine, which I think, while again, the information on knives like this on Maxace's website, it doesn't suggest like definitely take this out and do impact cutting with it. That puts no pressure or, you know, doesn't do anything to the spine, which, you know, a lot of people would argue like that would be the purpose of a secondary locking pin, would be for spine impact. So the result is pointless, but also more, I think, a little more informing, at least informing in a way that I wouldn't have expected. If you're new to my channel, I don't normally do stuff like this. This isn't my type of testing. This isn't my type of review process. I'm a design reviewer. But I've always found the secondary locking pin idea interesting. And I didn't realize until now that the fact that the liner is engaged the way that it is, that is taking so much of the force. So the craziest thing here, I'm not going to give this knife a negative review. I think, I've already reviewed the Vortex. This is just a less expensive version with less expensive materials. The original Vortex is kind of a funny, haha, it's like super overbuilt. It's titanium and it's M390 and it's got this crazy robust frame lock and it's got this extra locking pin. And from the little bit of testing that I just did, what I got from it was it will actually chop. Like, I think that will be fine. I still wouldn't do it. I still don't think a knife like this is meant to excel at stuff like that. I think it's meant to be, fun thing for, enthusiasts. And yeah, I guess if this is all you had and you needed to do some light brush clearing, like if you were, I guess, camping and you needed to clear light brush, I think this would be okay, right? And it folds up. It's still going to be heavy, but it folds up. And maybe in that specific circumstance, you might be able to do it. The liner itself is not taking nearly as much of the impact. It's going to be back here because the impact's going to be on the edge, right? The edge itself, let me see if I can actually, cut a piece of paper with that here real quick. I know I keep jumping around here. But the edge itself, after all of those cuts, is it's actually still totally fine. That's wild, man. I didn't clean the edge up at all. That's crazy. It's just an old palette, right? I'm much more impressed with this than I am disappointed. Like, I thought for sure batoning with it was gonna snap something. I figured that it would bend the pivot or bend the frame out. But no, what failed was the liner. So, if they wanted to turn this into like a hardcore knife, which I doubt they will, right? Because then they'd have to you can baton with it and then back it up if it doesn't work. A different style of locking system, right? Where it's not dependent on a frame lock or liner lock that's pushing against that slanted, like the lock face of the blade. Like a way to, or if you kept it as a liner lock, a way to disengage it, the liner completely, and rely on maybe a substantially larger secondary stop pin. You might be asking, why would we need a folding baton knife? We don't really. So maybe that wouldn't be the best idea. But the knife's ability to chop without, because nothing was different after, I'm telling you, it's still absolutely solid left and right. And I don't think that the chopping impacts, even on that pallet, which is crazy overkill, like the most that I think that they would even be implying you use a knife like this for, it would just be, like I said, light brush clearing. The liner was totally fine, and it's not taking the brunt of that. So this is pretty cool. It is definitely more durable than I thought it was going to be. But you can't rely on, this was a huge, even though they always say that a liner lock is only as robust as the weakest part of the relief cut, right? That's as dependable as any lock is going to be. So no matter how big this lock face is, no matter how much contact there is on that tang, it's still only as strong as its weakest point, right? Which was clearly right there, that relief cut, which allows it to, be disengaged easier than just it being a solid piece of steel. I think that if you buy something like this, you should 100%, if you're actually going to take it out and chop with it, which nowhere on Maxace's website do they say you should do that. And nowhere does it say it'll be covered if you break it, right? if you're going to do that, number one, you should wear gloves and like be safe. I don't recommend that you do at all, not with a folding knife. I recommend you use a fixed blade. But if you're going to, if you're just like, I don't care what you say, I'm going to. Okay, definitely wear gloves. Be sober. Wear protective eyewear. Engage the secondary stop pin. Check it regularly to make sure that this cap is not unthreading itself. Only do light chopping. Do not baton with it. I wanted to do this once. I know a lot of you are probably still shocked that there was any type of testing on this channel. And as I've maintained for years and years and years, the reason that I don't do this stuff is because I don't expect, even with the most robust knives on the market, I don't expect them to stand up to it. I mean, just basic logic and reasoning tells me it's not gonna work. We already have better tools for that. I don't enjoy these things because I feel like they can handle the same types of tasks as their more robust fixed blade brethren, right? Or better, I mean, there's definitely better tools in general overall, more specific to the task. I just enjoy them because they're fun. It's neat that they exist, even if they are just slightly more robust than your average folding knife, right? But I mean, yeah, there's a reason that there's never, a lot of people I think look at this stuff, or they look at reviews like mine or whatever, and they're like, they're these big knives. They should be capable of this stuff, but they're not. And it's like, well, nobody said that they were. The company's selling them, the retailers listing them, the reviewers talking about them. No one is saying that you should expect that of this stuff, right? It's just when people see these large knives, they assume that it was made 100% seriously and should be able to withstand a bomb blast. And I mean, it's just Maxace and companies like this kind of goofing around and having some fun, right? But if you're gonna make if you're gonna try to design a folding knife that's going to stand up to that stuff, I think locking systems like the Triad Lock obviously work because there's not this liner with a thin relief cut, taking the force of all of those spine whacks, right? The way that lock engages, it utilizes all 3 points of contact without overstressing one in particular, at least the way that I understand it, right? I don't enjoy doing stuff like this. I don't enjoy destroying knives at all. And I really liked this one. It made me sad. For a second, I'm going to be honest with you. For a second, I was like, holy crap, this thing is standing. This thing is going to do it. I'm going to baton a pallet, an old pallet. It's not that hard to get through, but I'm going to do it. And then it broke, right? It's pretty cool, but I didn't enjoy destroying a knife. That's not really what I do on this channel. I like to have reasonable expectations of knives, even if they do have a size and general robustness about them that sort of implies, without saying it, that I'm tougher than a regular knife. Even then, I'm like, but you're probably not that much tougher than a regular knife, and it's just for people to kind of enjoy. So. The Maxace Vortex S is, at the end of the day, a much less expensive premium Vortex with SLD Magic, micarta, and steel liners. That is probably 50% to maybe twice as durable as a regular pocket knife. And it's just the end result, if you're going for pure durability and utility, obviously you're better off with a fixed blade. But if you just like big knives and you're I'd like one that could do a little bit of chopping here and there, light chopping, I actually think this will work. Just don't expect Maxace to cover it, because they don't make any guarantees. So yeah, kind of an interesting end result. I have no doubt that this video will have ferocious arguments in the comments. Maxace, I think you guys make great knives. This is not the type of testing that I normally do, and I do not, I'm not giving this knife a bad review because the liner broke because I hit the back of it with it was a cold steel tactical baseball bat is what that was. So, yeah. I guess we'll go ahead and do some quick specs here at the end of the video. So the overall length of this knife, if I get a tape measure there, that'll be helpful. There it is. The overall length of this knife is, wowzers, 11.75 inches. Blade length is coming in at 5 1/4. Cutting edge is 5 inches. Lots of cutting edge. SLD magic is pretty impressive. Like that's, man, I don't think that did anything to the edge. That's wild. I just expected that to just be absolutely torn up. Yeah, let's go ahead and weigh it. So the weight on this guy, oops, that's an iPad. I was like, man, that scale is heavy. The weight on this guy is coming in at, where are we at there? There we go. Wow, 14.5 ounces. Big old heavy boy. Heavy, heavy, heavy. Yeah, Maxace makes fun stuff. I know this was super unorthodox. There's just no reason to review the same exact knife exactly the same way. So I thought I'd just have a little bit of fun today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't expect me to do this with every single robust knife that comes across my table, because I didn't do this because I was like, it should hold up to it. I just did it just for fun, just to see, right? But no, I don't expect them to actually, I don't expect these knives like this with the secondary pins to actually hold up to this stuff. And I don't think people should be doing this with their folding knives. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex and on TikTok at _metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do of course have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.